Scout Commander Vexhe moved his ship slowly through the dark space near Earth. The Galactic Dominion had sent him here to watch the humans and find their weak points. His job was simple: look at their technology, count their weapons, and report back to the invasion fleet that would come later. The alien felt sure this would be easy work. Humans were new to space travel and probably knew very little about real fighting. His ship stayed invisible using advanced cloaking systems that no primitive race should be able to detect. The scout had done this job many times before. Always the same story. Young species thought they were smart, but they had crude weapons, basic shields, and slow ships. The Dominion would arrive, destroy their defenses, and add another world to their empire. Vexhe expected Earth to be no different from all the others. But something felt wrong as he got closer to the human solar system. Their ships moved between planets in patterns that seemed too organized for such a young species. The vessels looked old and simple, but they flew with precision that made the alien scout pause. The humans had only been traveling between worlds for about 300 years, yet their formation flying looked almost professional. Near the giant planet Jupiter, a human mining station called Sejong floated among the moons. Korean engineer Dong Min worked at his control station, watching screens that showed energy readings from across the local space. His job seemed normal enough, monitoring the mining equipment and tracking asteroids that might hit their station. But when unusual energy patterns appeared on his sensors, something that looked like empty space but felt wrong, Dong Min did not sound any alarms. Instead, he sent a quiet message to his friend Hai Jin, who worked in what humans called their meteorite tracking center. Her job was supposed to be simple watch for space rocks that might damage their equipment and warn ships to change course. But Hai Jin did much more than track rocks. Her sensors could see things that should be invisible, and her computers could decode signals from very far away. The message from Dong Min was short but clear. Package delivered. Guest is viewing the show. Hai Jin smiled when she read it and began typing commands into systems that looked basic, but contained technology decades ahead of what they appeared to be. The alien scout was watching them, but they had been watching him for months, on Earth in the city of Seoul. Dr. So Young received the same coded message at what appeared to be a simple space research center. The building looked like any other government office, but deep underground lay the most advanced command center humanity had ever built. Banks of computers that could think faster than any alien technology, communication systems that could reach across the galaxy instantly, and weapons that could destroy entire fleets. So Young activated protocols that had taken 20 years to prepare every human ship. In space, every space station, every piece of equipment had two faces. What the aliens could see was primitive technology that struggled to work properly. What they could not see was the real advanced systems hidden behind holographic disguises and false sensor readings. Vexhe began his detailed observations, focusing his scanners on the human vessels moving through their solar system. A cargo ship near Mars caught his attention, as it seemed to have engine problems. The crew appeared to be struggling with basic repairs while their ship drifted slowly toward the red planet. The alien recorded everything, noting how the humans could barely control their own technology. What Vexhe could not see were the 6 escort ships flying in perfect formation around the struggling cargo vessel. Their advanced stealth systems made them appear to be pieces of space debris floating randomly through the area. Each escort ship carried weapons that could destroy the alien scout ship in seconds, but they remained hidden, waiting for orders that might never come. The cargo ship itself was not really having problems. Captain Min Soo and his crew of 15 were all trained actors, playing their roles perfectly. Engineer Tae Young made sparks fly from control panels that were actually working fine. Communications officer Yubin sent distress calls that sounded desperate, but contained hidden codes for other human ships. Navigator Su Jin plotted a course that looked clumsy, but was actually calculated to bring them past 3 hidden sensor stations. Every piece of technology on the ship had been designed to fool alien scanners. The fusion drive looked old and inefficient, but could actually accelerate to speeds that would amaze the Dominion. The communication array appeared to use basic radio waves but secretly transmitted on quantum frequencies. The hull looked like simple metal, but contained armor stronger than anything the aliens had seen. Vexhay felt more confident with each passing day. His scanners showed him exactly what humanity wanted him to see. Primitive fusion engines that barely worked, communication systems that used old-fashioned radio waves, weapons that looked like they came from a museum, shield generators that could probably not stop a strong laser. The humans seemed to have learned just enough about space technology to be dangerous to themselves. The alien scout began preparing his first report to Dominion Command. The humans were even weaker than expected. Their technology was crude and unreliable. Their ships were slow and poorly armed. Their defenses would collapse within hours of the invasion beginning. The conquest of Earth would be so easy that the Dominion might not even need to send their full fleet. But deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Kyung-ho read the intercepted alien transmissions and smiled. The first phase of humanity. Greatest deception was working perfectly. They had spent decades preparing for this moment, learning about alien technology by studying crashed ships that most humans did not even know existed, building weapons and defenses that could match anything in the galaxy, training millions of people to play their parts in the greatest performance in human history. Every human in space knew their role. Miners who pretended their equipment broke down constantly, scientists who acted like they could barely understand their own discoveries, soldiers who carried weapons that looked primitive but could cut through alien armor like paper engineers who seemed confused by technology they had actually designed themselves. The deception had to be perfect because humanity's survival depended on it. The Galactic Dominion was vast and powerful with thousands of worlds under their control. If they knew the truth about human capabilities, they would send a fleet large enough to crush any resistance. But if they believed humans were primitive and weak, they might send only a small force that could be defeated. Hai transmitted his report feeling pleased with his efficiency. The invasion fleet commanders would be happy to learn that conquest would be so simple. The alien scouts settled in for a longer observation period, wanting to gather more details about human weaknesses and defensive positions. He had no idea that every signal he sent was being intercepted, decoded, and analyzed by human intelligence officers. Dr. So Young read the alien report within minutes of its transmission and sent new orders to human ships across the solar system. The performance would continue, but now they knew exactly what the enemy expected to see. The next few months would be crucial as they fed the alien scout information that would ensure the Dominion sent just the right size force to Earth. A force large enough to seem like a real invasion but small enough for humanity to defeat. The greatest game in human history had begun, and Earth was already winning. 3 weeks had passed since Vexhay began watching the humans, and he felt more confident about the coming invasion. The alien scout had moved his cloaked ship closer to Mars, where he could get better readings of human military activities. What he saw made him almost laugh at how easy this conquest would be. The humans had military ships, but they looked like they were held together with hope and spare parts. Captain Jin Woo commanded what appeared to be one of Earth's most advanced patrol ships, but Vexhay sensor showed it was barely functional. The vessel called Busan drifted through space near the Red Planet with a crew of 20 humans who seemed to struggle with every basic task. Communications officer Yu Jin had to bang on her control panel to get it working. Engineer Tae Ho spent most of his time crawling through maintenance tunnels, trying to fix systems that kept breaking down. The reality inside the ship was completely different. Jin Woo sat in his command chair, watching displays that showed him everything within 1,000,000 kilometers of their position, including the exact location of the alien scout ship. His quantum processors could calculate faster than any computer the Dominion had ever built, while his crew monitored alien communications in real time. Yujin was not really having trouble with her equipment. She was actually running the most advanced communication array ever created by humans. Her systems could intercept and decode every transmission the alien made while sending false signals to make their own technology look primitive. Her frustrated banging on the control panel was just good acting that she had practiced for months. Tae Ho did spend time in maintenance areas, but not because anything was broken. He was actually adjusting holographic projectors and false sensor readings to make sure the alien saw exactly what humanity wanted him to see. The real ship systems included self-repairing nanobots that could fix any damage, in minutes, and energy weapons that could turn asteroids into dust. On Luna Base, hidden on the dark side of Earth Moon, Commander Yun Wu coordinated the largest deception in human history. From his command center buried deep beneath the lunar surface, he watched hundreds of human ships and stations across the solar system, all playing their parts in the great performance. Asteroid miners pretended their equipment failed regularly. Mars colonists staged supply shortages that never really happened. Research stations acted like their experiments went wrong every day. Every human installation had been built with two complete sets of systems. The outer layer that alien scanners could detect showed primitive technology that barely worked. The hidden, inner systems contained the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. Fusion reactors that could power entire cities, computers that could think at quantum speeds, weapons that could crack planets in half Commander Yun Wu had been planning. This deception for 15 years, ever since humanity first detected the Dominion scouting probes at the edge of their solar system. The plan required perfect timing and coordination. Every human in space had to play their role exactly right because one mistake could expose the truth and doom their entire species. The actors were all volunteers who knew they might die if the plan failed. Families had been separated for years, as parents took jobs on distant stations and children stayed on Earth, pretending to live normal lives. Everyone understood that the survival of humanity depended on making the aliens believe they were weak and primitive. Vex had continued his observations, feeling more impressed with his own skills at gathering intelligence. He had identified what appeared to be the main human military base on Mars, a collection of domes and towers that looked like they could barely defend themselves. The base commander seemed to be a human named Jun Sik, who spent most of his time dealing with equipment failures and supply problems. What the alien could not see was that the Mars base was actually a small part of a much larger military complex. The visible structures were just the tip of an underground city that housed 10,000 human soldiers. Equipment that looked broken was actually working perfectly. While supply problems were carefully staged to make the base seem weak, Colonel Jun Sik was not really struggling to keep his base running. He was actually one of humanity. Most experienced military commanders with access to weapons that could destroy entire fleets. His daily reports about equipment failures and supply shortages were coded messages to other human commanders, updating them on the alien movements and behavior patterns. The deception extended to every detail of human space activities. Cargo ships like the one commanded by Captain Bo-Ram carried loads that appeared to be basic supplies and raw materials, but hidden within normal-looking containers were components for weapons and defensive systems that were being assembled at secret locations throughout the solar system. Dr. Hai-1 worked at what appeared to be a simple research station, studying space weather and cosmic radiation. Her work seemed boring, and her equipment looked like it came from a museum. But she was actually monitoring subspace frequencies and gravitational distortions that revealed the movements of cloaked alien ships. Her reports on solar storms and radiation levels contained coded intelligence about enemy positions. The human performance had to be believable in every way. Families on Earth received messages from loved ones working in space that complained about broken equipment and dangerous working conditions. Children in schools learned about the struggles of human space exploration and the limitations of their technology. News broadcasts showed the difficulties of life on distant worlds and the constant challenges of maintaining aging space. Stations Vex began to lower his guard as days passed into weeks. The humans clearly posed no threat to the mighty Galactic Dominion. Their technology was centuries behind what they needed to fight a real space war. Their military was small and poorly equipped. Their defenses would collapse as soon as the first Dominion warships arrived. Unknown to the alien scout, every transmission he sent was being intercepted by human intelligence teams. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, cryptographers, led by Dr. Kyung-min, decoded each alien message within hours of its transmission. They learned about Dominion military structure, fleet compositions, and invasion tactics. The humans were gaining intelligence about their enemies while revealing nothing about themselves. The alien reports painted exactly the picture humanity wanted to create. a species that had learned just enough about space technology to be dangerous to themselves, but posed no real threat to an advanced alien empire. The humans appeared to be struggling with basic concepts of physics and engineering, while their equipment failed regularly, and their military could barely patrol their own solar system. Admiral Sang-min read each decoded alien transmission with growing satisfaction. The deception was working even better than they had hoped. The alien scout was reporting exactly what Dominion Command wanted to hear about an easy conquest and a primitive enemy. The invasion fleet would arrive expecting to face crude weapons and basic defenses, but humanity was ready with secrets that would shock the galaxy. 3 months into his surveillance mission, Vexhai witnessed something that made his confidence waver. The alien scout was monitoring routine human activities near Jupiter when emergency signals started coming from a research vessel called the Sejong Discovery. Captain Min Ho and his crew of 18 scientists were studying the giant planet radiation when their ship began having what looked like a complete system failure. The human vessel started venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches while its power systems failed one by one. Captain Min Ho's voice came over emergency frequencies, sounding desperate as he reported that their life support would fail within 30 minutes. The ship was drifting toward Jupiter deadly radiation belt where no rescue would be possible once they crossed the boundary. What happened next troubled Vexhai more than anything he had seen since arriving at Earth. Rescue ships appeared from locations that should have been empty space, moving faster than human technology should allow. Engineer Bo Ram aboard the failing research vessel managed to restore partial life support using repair techniques that seemed far too advanced for primitive human knowledge. Navigator Ye Jin plotted an escape course that required calculations beyond what their basic computers should handle. The math involved quantum mechanics and gravitational physics that most species took centuries to understand. Yet she completed the calculations in minutes and transmitted them to the rescue coordinator in Su, who seemed to anticipate every problem before it happened. The rescue operation unfolded with precision that matched the best Dominion military units. Rescue ship commanders knew exactly where to position their vessels without needing long discussions. Medical teams prepared for casualties before knowing what injuries to expect. Supply vessels appeared with exactly the right equipment for repairs that had not even been attempted yet. Vexhai recorded everything, but the more he watched, the more confused he became. His deep scan still showed primitive human technology, basic fusion drives that barely worked, simple communication systems that used radio waves, crude sensors that could barely detect objects beyond their immediate area. Yet the rescue operation displayed coordination and technical skill that rivaled anything in the Galactic Dominion. The alien scout reviewed his recordings dozens of times looking for explanations. The rescue had been flawless, with every human knowing their role and executing it perfectly. The mathematical calculations were correct, to 17 decimal places. The repair techniques used principles of quantum engineering that should take decades to master. The coordination between multiple ships suggested communication systems far more advanced than what his sensors detected. But every technical scan confirmed his original assessment. The humans were using primitive technology that any first-year Dominion engineering student would laugh at. Their ships were powered by basic fusion reactors. Their computers used simple binary processing. Their weapons were chemical rockets and crude laser systems. Their shields could probably not stop a strong plasma burst deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Admiral Kyung-ho reviewed reports from the stage rescue operation. The performance had been almost too good, with human actors displaying skills that might make the aliens suspicious. Dr. Hay won the mission chief. Psychologist had warned that they were walking a dangerous line between believable competence and suspicious perfection. The rescue near Europa had been planned 18 months in advance, with every detail rehearsed hundreds of times. Captain Min Ho and his crew were some of humanity's best actors, trained to make their desperation seem real, while executing complex maneuvers that appeared to be desperate improvisation. Engineer Bo Ram held advanced degrees in quantum mechanics, but had practiced, looking confused by her own equipment. Navigator Ye Jin had actually designed some of the calculation methods she pretended to struggle with. Her apparent genius was really just good preparation and excellent acting. In Su coordinated the rescue from a command ship that appeared to be a simple cargo hauler. but actually contained computer systems that could process more data than entire Dominion fleets. The human performance required incredible attention to detail. Every rescue ship had to appear surprised by the emergency while arriving at exactly the right time and place. Medical teams had to seem unprepared while actually being ready for every possible scenario. Supply vessels had to look like they were carrying random cargo, while actually being loaded with exactly what the rescue would need. Dr. Mi Young analyzed the alien behavioral data they had gathered from monitoring Vex High ship. The scout was clearly becoming suspicious, which could work in humanity's favor or completely destroy their deception. If the alien became too curious, he might conduct more detailed investigations that could expose their true capabilities. But if his suspicions remained unfocused, he might simply report that humans occasionally exceeded expectations through luck and determination. The psychological profile suggested that Vex High came from a highly structured military culture where competence was expected and failure was punished. His confusion about human capabilities came from trying to fit what he observed into his understanding of how primitive species should behave. The rescue operation had shown efficiency that did not match his assessment of human technology. Commander Yun Wu made the decision to increase the complexity of their performance rather than simplify it. The next phase would show humans achieving remarkable results through determination and teamwork, while still appearing to struggle with basic technology. They would demonstrate that human spirit could sometimes overcome technological limitations. The plan was risky because it required even more precise acting from thousands of people across the solar system. But the psychological analysis suggested that Vex High would be more likely to dismiss human achievements as lucky accidents rather than evidence of hidden capabilities. The alien military mindset focused on technology and dismissed the importance of individual courage and creativity. Over the following weeks, human ships across the solar system began displaying what appeared to be remarkable instances of crews exceeding their equipment limitations. Mining teams on asteroids achieved extraction rates that seemed impossible, given their crude tools. Research stations made discoveries that appeared to be beyond their scientific capabilities. Military patrols completed missions that should have been impossible with their primitive weapons. Each success was carefully planned to appear spontaneous and desperate while actually being the result of advanced technology and extensive preparation. The humans had to make their victories look like they came from determination and cleverness rather than superior equipment. The alien had to believe that human spirit could occasionally overcome technological disadvantages. Vex had found himself developing a grudging respect for human tenacity. Even with primitive technology, they seemed capable of remarkable achievements when facing desperate situations. Their rescue operations were flawless. Their mining efficiency exceeded theoretical maximums. Their scientific discoveries showed insights that seemed beyond their educational systems. But his scanners continued to show crude equipment and basic knowledge. The alien scout began preparing his second major report to Dominion Command. The humans were still primitive and their conquest would still be easy, but they possessed an unpredictable quality that might require slightly more caution. Their technology was definitely crude, but their determination could make them more dangerous than expected. The invasion should proceed, but commanders should be prepared for humans who might fight harder than most species. Deep in the human command center's intelligence officers smiled as they read the intercepted transmission. The alien was reacting exactly as they had hoped, confused by human capabilities, but still convinced of human weakness. The next phase of the operation would test whether their deception could survive. Much closer scrutiny. Vex High decided he needed better information about human capabilities. The alien scout moved his cloaked ship to a closer orbit around Mars, where he could conduct more detailed scans of human mining operations on the tiny moon. Phobos, the facility, there seemed typical of human industry struggling equipment, primitive safety systems, and workers who barely understood the technology they used. Supervisor Jun Ho ran the mining operation with a crew of 12 humans who appeared to spend most of their time fixing broken machinery. The miners used crude drilling equipment that broke down constantly while their life support systems seemed to fail every few days. Safety protocols were basic at best, with workers taking risks that would horrify any civilized species. The facility looked like it might collapse if anyone sneezed too hard, but appearances were carefully designed to deceive June. Ho was actually a former military engineer with advanced degrees in quantum mechanics and alien technology. His miners were all specially trained actors who knew exactly how to make their primitive equipment look even more primitive than it really was. Every breakdown was carefully staged. Every safety violation was calculated to seem careless rather than deliberate. The mining operation itself was a masterpiece of hidden technology. What appeared to be crude drilling equipment actually used molecular disassembly techniques to extract minerals with perfect efficiency. The life support systems that seemed to fail constantly were actually more reliable than anything on most Dominion ships. The safety violations were illusions created by holographic projectors and careful staging. Miner Sung Min had been playing his role for 8 months, pretending to be a simple worker who barely understood the equipment he operated. But he held advanced degrees in xenogeology and had been specially chosen for this assignment. When his sensors detected unusual energy signatures in the rock formations, he knew immediately what they had found. The mineral deposit that Sung Min discovered was not really a discovery at all. It was a carefully placed artifact designed to attract alien attention. The crystalline formation appeared to be a fragment of ancient precursor technology, the mysterious race that had vanished millions of years ago, leaving behind artifacts that contained knowledge beyond any current civilization. Geologist Da-un analyzed the sample with equipment that appeared to be centuries old but was actually more advanced than anything the Dominion possessed. Her readings showed quantum resonance patterns and artificial molecular structures that should not exist in natural minerals. But she played her role perfectly, acting confused and uncertain about what the readings meant. When Da-Yun reported the discovery to the mining supervisor, her analysis was filled with scientific uncertainty and primitive conclusions. She suggested the unusual properties might be caused by radiation exposure or contamination from their equipment. The report made it sound like the humans had found something interesting, but lacked the knowledge to understand its true significance. HFY intercepted their communications about the discovery and felt his excitement growing. The mineral fragment they had found appeared to be genuine precursor technology, something the Galactic Dominion had been searching for across thousands of worlds. The artifacts left by the ancient race contained scientific principles that could advance any civilization by millennia. The alien scout faced a critical decision. His original mission was to observe human capabilities and report back to the invasion fleet, but this discovery could be more valuable than the conquest of Earth itself. Precursor technology was worth entire star systems to the Dominion. If he could secure this artifact for the Empire, his career would be assured. But obtaining the artifact would require breaking his cover and risking exposure of his surveillance mission. If the humans discovered his presence, they might hide their weaknesses and make the coming invasion more difficult. The scout would have to choose between his duty to the fleet and the opportunity for personal advancement. Unknown to HFY, the entire situation had been designed to force exactly this choice. Human intelligence had studied Dominion psychology for decades and knew that individual aliens could be tempted by opportunities for personal gain. The fake precursor artifact was bait in a trap that would reveal much more about alien capabilities than humans had been able to learn through passive observation. Engineer Jun Seo had spent 3 years creating the false artifact using principles reverse engineered from actual precursor fragments that humanity had discovered in secret. The crystalline structure would fool even advanced Dominion sensors while transmitting false data about human scientific knowledge. The artifact was designed to seem valuable but not quite valuable enough to justify calling in the full invasion fleet immediately. Physicist Ah Young had calculated exactly what readings would attract alien attention without seeming too convenient. The energy signatures had to appear natural but unusual, while the quantum resonance patterns needed to suggest advanced technology without being obviously artificial. Every measurement had been carefully designed to seem like a genuine discovery made by scientists who did not understand what they had found. On Earth, the Deception Committee monitored HFY increased activity around Mars. Dr. Mi Young predicted that the alien would attempt to infiltrate the mining facility within 72 hours based on behavioral analysis of his movement patterns. The scout was showing signs of excitement and impatience that suggested he would take risks to secure the artifact's security. Chief Wu Jin positioned his people throughout the Phobos facility preparing for the alien infiltration attempt. Every human on the base knew their role in the coming performance. They had to seem surprised and confused by the alien presence while actually gathering as much intelligence as possible about Dominion technology and capabilities. The mining facility had been designed as a perfect trap, with sensors hidden in every wall and corridor. The humans would appear helpless against superior alien technology, while actually recording everything about the intruder, his equipment, his abilities, and his weaknesses. The data they gathered would be invaluable for planning Earth defenses. Maintenance worker Su Jin had been positioning microscopic tracking devices throughout the facility. For weeks, the tiny sensors were undetectable to most alien technology, but would attach to any intruder and provide detailed information about Dominion equipment. Every surface the alien touched would leave traces that human scientists could analyze. Scientist Hyun-woo prepared his laboratory with instruments that appeared primitive, but could actually analyze alien biology at the molecular level. When the intruder entered his workspace, the scientist would seem confused and frightened, while actually conducting the most detailed scan ever performed on a living Dominion citizen. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the balance of intelligence between humans and aliens. Vexhai believed he was hunting for ancient artifacts, but he was actually walking into the most sophisticated trap humanity had ever constructed. The next phase would test whether human deception could fool even a suspicious alien operating at close range. Commander Yoon-woo gave the final authorization for the trap to proceed. Humanity had spent 5 years preparing for this moment, and everything depended on perfect execution. The alien scout was about to discover that humans were far more dangerous than he had ever imagined, but hopefully not dangerous in the ways that really mattered. Unable to resist the lure of precursor technology, Vexhai attempts to infiltrate the Phobos mining station using his personal stealth suit. He believes his advanced technology will allow him to examine the artifact undetected and possibly steal it for the Dominion. The alien's infiltration seems successful at first, as he moves through the station's corridors without triggering any alarms or attracting human attention. Security Officer Chang Ho appears to be dozing at his monitor station, completely unaware of the invisible intruder passing just meters away. Maintenance worker Su Jin continues her routine repairs, oblivious to the alien scanning the station systems from her blind spot. Even when Vexhai enters the geological lab where the artifact is stored, scientist Hyun-woo remains focused on his work, seemingly unable to detect the presence in his laboratory. But appearances are deceiving. Chang Ho's sleep allows him to monitor the alien through sensors built into his apparently primitive security system. Su Jin's maintenance work involves activating microscopic tracking devices that attach to the intruder's suit. Hyun-woo's scientific instruments are actually recording detailed scans of the alien's biology, technology, and energy signatures. Every human in the facility is playing their role in an elaborate trap. When Vexhai reaches for the precursor fragment, he triggers a containment field that should be impossible for human technology to generate. The artifact itself begins emitting energy patterns that interfere with his stealth systems, revealing his presence to the surprised humans. As alarms sound and security teams respond with suspicious efficiency, the alien scout realizes he may have underestimated these seemingly primitive creatures. The chase through the mining station becomes a deadly game of cat and mouse. Vexhai's superior technology allows him to stay ahead of human pursuit, but barely. Engineer Dong-wook seems to anticipate his escape routes with uncanny accuracy. Communications Officer Ye-yoon coordinates the human response with precision that rivals military operations. Most disturbing of all, the humans show no fear when confronting obviously superior alien technology, suggesting either remarkable courage or knowledge they shouldn't possess. Vexhai limped back to the outer solar system in his damaged scout ship, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. The infiltration of the human mining facility had gone wrong in ways that challenged everything he thought he knew about these primitive people. His stealth systems were compromised, his weapons had been less effective than expected, and the humans had responded with coordination that rivaled Dominion military units. The alien scout spent days reviewing his recordings and sensor data looking for explanations that would fit with his original assessment of human capabilities. The mining facility had seemed primitive, but had contained defensive systems sophisticated enough to trap him. The workers had appeared confused and helpless, but had pursued him with tactical skill that suggested extensive military training. His damaged equipment told a story that contradicted months of observations. Human weapons that should have been crude chemical projectiles had somehow interfered with advanced alien technology. The facility systems that looked like they barely functioned had actually worked together to create an elaborate trap. The communications networks that seemed primitive had coordinated a response. Faster than most Dominion military units could manage. Vexhe began preparing his final report to the invasion fleet, but found himself struggling with contradictions he could not resolve. The humans appeared primitive in every scan he had conducted, yet they had detected and trapped him despite his superior technology. They seemed to understand only basic science, yet they had created a fake precursor artifact sophisticated enough to fool advanced sensors. The alien scout decided to focus on what his instruments had actually measured rather than what he had experienced. Human technology was definitely crude and outdated. Their weapons were primitive chemical and laser systems,